The Amazon doesn't forgive mistakes. One moment you're cruising at 30,000 feet, laughing with your friends about the semester ahead. The next, thunder cracks the sky open, the engines scream, and the world flips upside down. When the smoke clears, 5 high school seniors kids on a dream trip abroad are the only ones left breathing. Surrounded by an endless green, no signal, no rescue in sight. This is their story. A true fight for survival. In the jungle that swallowed the sky. It was supposed to be the trip of a lifetime. A group of 10 American high school seniors, all at the top of their class, had won a cultural exchange program to Brazil. 2 weeks exploring Rio, then a short flight deep into the Amazon to visit an indigenous village and learn about conservation. Their teacher, Mr. Ramirez, and a local guide named Ana were chaperoning. The kids were a tight-knit group. There was Mia, the fearless leader, the soccer captain who was always planning everything, then Lucas, her best friend since kindergarten. Quiet but brave when it really counted, Harper was the artist, always sketching. Sensitive to everything around her, Diego was the jokester. The class clown who could make anyone laugh, even in the worst of moments. And finally, Sage, the brainy one, obsessed with survival shows, the only reason any of them might actually make it out of this alive. They boarded the small propeller plane in high spirits. Their phones were full of selfies. Their dreams were full of adventure. Then the storm hit. Freak tempest, black clouds, lightning streaking across the sky like veins. The pilot fought the controls, but the turbulence threw them around like ragdolls inside a metal can. An engine exploded. The wing sheared off. The very last thing Mia remembers is grabbing Lucas's hand as the plane spiraled down into the endless green sea below. They woke to silence. Not a peaceful silence. It was the heavy, humming, oppressive silence of the deep jungle. Mia came to first. Her head was bleeding, and she was pinned by a seat. She screamed out their names until her voice cracked. One by one, they answered. 5 survivors. The others didn't. Mr. Ramirez was gone. Ana was gone. Half the class gone. The wreckage was split across a small clearing, smoking. Twisted metal wrapped in vines as if the jungle was already claiming it. Sage, shaking but focused, took charge almost immediately. "We're alive," she said, her voice surprisingly steady. "That's step 1. Water, shelter, signal. We do this right, we get out." But the jungle didn't care about their plans. The rain came in sheets. Insects swarmed. Their buzzing a constant torment. The heat was suffocating. They managed to salvage what they could from the wreckage, a few water bottles, a battered first aid kit, Harper's sketchbook which was now their only map, and a flare gun with only 2 shots left. They also had Diego's unbreakable spirit. He cracked a weak joke about this being the worst field trip ever, and somehow, through their tears, they laughed. They stayed near the wreckage at first, standard protocol. Someone would see the smoke. Someone had to be looking for them. But days passed. No helicopters appeared on the horizon. No voices crackled over the emergency radio. It was completely dead. They had to move. Sage remembered something from one of her shows. Follow water downstream. Rivers lead to civilization. So, they walked. They walked through mud that sucked at their shoes with every step. They passed trees so tall the sky simply vanished. They stumbled over roots that coiled on the ground like massive snakes. The nights were the worst. They built crude shelters from palm leaves and took turns keeping watch. Listening to the things that moved in the dark. Jaguars, maybe, or worse. Harper started seeing things. Shadows in her peripheral vision that looked like their lost classmates. She whispered to Mia one night, her voice trembling, "I swear I saw Emily by the river. She was waving, but when I blinked, she was gone." Grief was eating them alive, a predator just as dangerous as anything else in the jungle. But they kept moving. Then, they found it, a river. Wide, brown, fast-flowing. Hope surged through them. This could be it. This could lead them out. They worked for days, building a raft from logs and vines. Diego, in a moment of dark humor, named it the SS. "We're screwed but trying." They launched at dawn, their hopes high. The river betrayed them. What started as a calm float quickly turned violent. The current picked up, and suddenly they were in rapids, crashing against rocks that jutted out of the water like jagged teeth. The raft splintered. They were all thrown into the churning current. Mia grabbed Harper just as she went under. Lucas fought the raging water to reach Sage. Diego clung desperately to a log, screaming for them to hold on. They washed ashore miles downstream, bruised, cut, and half drowned. But they were alive. All 5 of them. As they lay gasping on the muddy bank, something glinted in the dirt. Harper, exhausted, crawled over and dug it out. It was an old, weathered metal plaque. It had an engraving in Portuguese. Sage knelt beside her, wiping away the grime, and translated it, her voice trembling with a mix of fear and wonder. Village of Saulas, 3 kilometers east. Established 1947. Abandoned 1962. An abandoned village. That meant shelter. Maybe food. Maybe even an old radio. But why was it abandoned? A shiver ran through them. They looked at each other, exhausted, terrified, but somehow, still together. Mia was the first to stand. "We've made it this far," she said, her voice filled with a resolve they hadn't heard in days. "We're not stopping now." One by one, they helped each other up and started walking east, into the deepening green. As the sun began to set, fireflies rose from the foliage, surrounding them like tiny, floating stars. For the first time in what felt like a lifetime, a flicker of hope ignited within them, small, but real. They didn't know what waited for them in the lost village of Saulas. They didn't know if rescue was ever coming. They only knew one thing for sure: they weren't just kids anymore. The jungle had taken everything from them, but it hadn't taken them, not yet. What would you do in their place? Could you survive the Amazon with nothing but your friends and your will to live? If this story hit you in the feels, hit that like button. And make sure to subscribe, because we bring you new survival adventures every single day. Let me know in the comments below who's your favorite character so far. And do you think they'll make it out? Tomorrow, we go deeper into the jungle and uncover what really happened to the lost village of Saulas. Sleep tight, and remember, the jungle is always listening.